How did you get into this type of business? How did you get your first clients? What was your first job? For the money that comes in, what do you guys do with it? What would you tell your younger self? What's the craziest thing you've ever done to make money?
Spray paint curbs. So I'd go up, knock on their door, say I'm doing it for free and you could pay me whatever you want. She gave me 20 bucks. The first day I think I made like 400 bucks.
Hey everyone, so we are in Southern California and today I'm going to be asking small business owners for entrepreneurial advice. We'll be talking to a wide range of businesses and I'm really excited to see what they have to say. I just want to say thank you to Alibaba.com for sponsoring this video. And yeah, let's go get started. So what's your name and what type of business do you have?
My name is Thea and I own a chain of retail stores, eco-friendly stores for sustainable living.
How'd you get started with this particular business?
I was living a sustainable lifestyle myself, and a lot of my friends and coworkers and family were asking me questions about how I knew how to be sustainable or why I was being sustainable. That's when it really went off in my head. There was a need for this and a demand for it and a gap in the market.
Can you walk us through the first few months of your business, how that was?
Yeah, the first few months were probably the scariest in a weird way because it was just really putting myself out there in an industry that was just so not tapped. So I was just nervous mostly about how people were gonna receive it.
How'd you get your first clients?
I did pop-up events, pop-ups in Orange County, and I would go to these markets and I talked to consumers in our communities, and right away people were like, yes, I want some more of this.
How did you get funding for your business?
Everything is self-funded.
So when were you guys able to be profitable?
We're going on year 3, and I think we saw profit last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest thing to master in business?
Bookkeeping.
Okay.
That has been really interesting for us to manage finances and figure out where to invest our monies in.
Could you break down what % of revenues you spend on what?
Yeah, so we spend about 40% on inventory. We spend a lot on rents and payroll. Yeah, it's thin margins in retail.
Are you guys doing any social media or anything like that?
Yeah, we do a lot of social media. That's actually kind of what made us, I think, really stand out. The conversation around sustainable living was really peaking last year, and that's when we were on Instagram and we were going viral.
Do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Work hard, and it's going to take way longer than you think it's going to take. Just stick it out. I think a lot of the time people want to give up and they get scared, and it's you just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
What action has had the best impact on your business?
My pure passion for the subject and just letting that go through.
Did you go to college?
I did study in college, then I dropped out, and then I went back for a couple of years, junior college, and that's all I've gotten, a degree in philosophy.
So do you have any advice for someone that wants to start up a brick and mortar business?
Yeah, start really small and go heavy on marketing, and it doesn't have to be money that you put into marketing, it just put yourself out there in marketing.
What is a skill that everyone should learn to master?
Perseverance, like I said, just day in, day out, you can't stop. It's grinding all the time.
How many hours were you working when you first started?
Every hour of the day that I wasn't sleeping, and my sleep was probably 7 hours or 6 hours. Yeah, we're always working.
What is your favorite thing about entrepreneurship?
Getting to be creative. I mean, you get to call your own shots. It's really interesting to sit down and think, wow, it's going to be whatever you want it to be.
What was your biggest failure and what you learned from it?
I don't think of it as failure. I like to look at everything as learning experiences. There's definitely things that just didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out, but I look at it and I go, oh, I learned how to do this and that from it.
So what's your name and what type of business do you have?
My name is Ryan Ferreira, and we own a Minifigureland e-commerce business.
And it looks like you guys work out of your home?
Work out of my house. I converted into full business, and I have an office in the back.
That's amazing. How did you get into this type of business?
I had my old childhood Legos that I just kind of started researching. I needed some pieces that I could never find as a kid, and I came across a site called Bricklink. It's like an Amazon for Lego. Playing around with stuff, researching, and we were talking maybe $3 up to $200 for some rare ones. And so I just started playing around, and one figure led to 10, led to thousands.
How much money did you start this business with?
I have the check from my dad. $2,000.
Can you walk me through the first few months of business?
The initial part was a lot of trial and error. Our business started on eBay. For a while, that was kind of the niche business. I started taking the money and just putting it right back into the business, everything I got. It was hard. It's a struggle starting a business. You're unsure if it's going to work.
Would you be willing to share some of the numbers that you guys do?
As of last year, we did $2 million in sales.
So you said most businesses fail. What's something that you've done to make your business succeed?
I adjusted. I started selling which I'm holding in my hand, little pieces, little leg pieces. And it's just like COVID. Anything going on in life or business, you got to adjust. You got to change, you got to adapt. and you do that, you'll be all right.
Who was your first hire?
Young kid, found him on Craigslist. He was just helping me part pieces and list figures on eBay. Eventually, I got 2 and then 3 employees, and now we're at 5 employees.
Do you have any tips for someone that wants to go from solo entrepreneurship to building a team?
You got to do it. It's hard to let go, especially if you're kind of like a control freak, but in the long run, you don't grow unless you have help.
And what's a character trait that you have that you think helps in entrepreneurship?
I know how to hustle. I read in a book one time the difference between people with normal jobs and business owners that you see that make millions is the grind. They know how to grind every day, day in, day out.
How do you balance personal versus work?
Discipline. Hiring other people helps to take that responsibility off you, but you say, hey, it's 7 o'clock and you cut it. If you really want discipline, get a dog. 6 o'clock, he's breathing down my neck. Let's go for a walk.
Have you ever had a mentor?
I have in different aspects of my life, not so much on the entrepreneurship side. That's actually one of the things I wish I had more of. My stubbornness got the best of me, and I kind of was like, oh, I'll do it, figure it out my own way.
So for the revenue that comes in, how do you guys spend that money?
We have to buy product. You have to spend money to make money. I jacked up spending because we have to buy a bunch of product, and so you have to pull from that. But you get that return very quickly in a few months.
What can entrepreneurs do to increase their chances of becoming successful?
I'd say the biggest factor is be different. There was a point where competitors were just, everything's competing, and I just got tired of it, and I branched out. I did my own kind of direction. It made all the difference in terms of growth. We're probably the #1 seller on Amazon for Lego figures right now, and it's because of that, having that different mindset, you know?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
If you're a small business owner, I figured now would be the perfect time to talk about how you can grow your own business through the sponsor of today's video, Alibaba.com, who is giving grants of $10,000 to people like you. If you guys didn't know, Alibaba.com is one of the biggest e-commerce marketplaces in the world that allows businesses to source high quality products from manufacturers all across the world. They do this by having all the best suppliers in one place and giving people tools to source products safely, affordably, and efficiently. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Charlie, growing a business is tough because of funding. Well, right now, Alibaba.com is giving out free money through their Manifest Grants Program, where 50 business owners will receive up to $10,000 in cash each and up to $5,000 in logistics services. Yes, this is literally free money that any business out there can use for supply costs, online marketing costs, and pretty much anything you need in order to grow your business. Plus, one lucky business will get the opportunity to receive additional funding as well as a feature at Alibaba.com's next global event. So yeah, if you end up being selected for this, your business can grow a ton from the funding and exposure. So to apply for this grant, you can go down to the description and use my link to find out more about how you can potentially get up to $15,000 for your business. It's completely free to apply, and I'm just super stoked because I want you guys, my audience, to be one of the many selected for this grant. The application deadline is on October 31st, 2022. So yeah, if you have a small business, the link will be down in the description for you to apply. And now back to the video. So what's your name and what type of business do you have?
My name is Edmund, and I own Lucent Graphic Solutions. It's a digital printing company.
How did you get started with that type of business?
I had a mobile scrolling billboard business before this. So we had a printer, so we started printing. A neighbor asked to do a graphic for them. We did that, and I watched a lot of videos.
Do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Know what you're getting into, and resilience. That's all this. Self-motivation. That's the biggest key.
Do you have any tips for people that want to get more clients?
Networking is a key. Be honest. Treat your customers well. You'll be surprised the word of mouth, how far it'll get you in a business.
Are there any things you tell the customers to encourage them to refer their friends and family?
Yeah, always. I mean, if it's something that doesn't work and we know it's not going to help the client, it's going to fall apart a few months down the line, we're upfront about it. We don't take somebody's money and just hope for the best. You'd be surprised how much people would appreciate that when you're honest with them and you let them know upfront, hey, I don't want to do this because for A, B, and C, and they'll never forget that. Next thing you know, you have 5 referrals from that person. Yeah.
And how have you built like a good team culture?
Again, it's by treating people right. What everyone wants to be treated fairly and with respect, and that's how we basically do it. We just treat our team members with respect. Even our independent contractors that we use from time to time, they give us priority because they get paid on time. They're treated with respect, and they don't have to chase their money for any project that they complete.
Did you go to college?
Yes, I did. I graduated from Loyola Marymount University.
What did you study?
Business, international business. Yeah.
Do you think that was worth it?
I think so. I think college is worth it because it's not so much what you'll learn, because obviously whatever you learn, you forget it. I think it's the time management and multitasking and deadlines. That's what you learn in college, is how to deal with those scenarios.
Would you do anything different if you?
Not really, no. I mean, I don't think it's relevant which college you go to. I think a lot of people concentrate on, I got to go to this college. But for generally, I think it just get the education. Any college doesn't matter. I think what you get away from, again, is the time management, dealing under pressure, and that's what you walk away from college with.
What was your first job?
I'm from Iran. So my first job, I was about 13, I worked in a Persian rug store. And then I was 14, I worked at a pharmacy. And then I moved to Germany. I worked at a shoe store in Germany. And then I moved to the States. I think my first real job in the States was at McDonald's.
Okay.
And that lasted about 6 months. And then from there, I've had more jobs than I can count.
And any last piece of advice you want to give aspiring entrepreneurs?
Being really good in something doesn't mean you can run a business in that. So whatever you're doing, learn the business, not just your skill. Learn and try to learn as much as you can how the business is run from the owners. And if you ever want to step out, get as much experience as you can before you step out on your own.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So what's your name and what type of business do you have?
My name is Melissa, and we have a men's hair salon.
How'd you get started with that?
So I've been a hairstylist for over 20 years, and at some point just recognizing that there was a little bit of a hole in the market in terms of the fact that men often had to choose between like a discount chain or something, going to a salon that maybe wasn't necessarily designed for a man, and just really noticing that we could do better for our clients.
Just some background. I go to Come for all my haircuts, and they're awesome. Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
So do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
You have to recognize that there's a need, and I think it really has to be something that you believe in, because it takes a lot of time and energy. So if it's just a kind of gimmicky idea, I think you're going to lose inspiration at some point.
Can you take me through the first 3 to 6 months of your business?
The beginning 3 to 6 months was really about tweaking and really trying to not be married to some ideas if they just didn't work.
How many employees do you have?
Currently, I believe we're at 15.
Do you have any tips for people that want to make their first hire or build a team like that?
Absolutely. I will say that while we are a service-based business where we're really looking at anticipating and taking care of the needs of the client, the real need for us is to take care of our people. So employees are the most important part of our business, because if our people aren't happy, they're not going to take care of our clients. So we're not going to be able to answer that need. And then policies and procedures for everything, because people can't really achieve something if you don't set a standard for it and they don't know that that's the expectation.
If there's one thing you'd change about your business, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I think if we could figure out a way to train faster, that would probably be better. But at the end of the day, I don't know that you can rush that.
Yeah. What was your first job?
Oh, my first job, I was 13 and I worked at a video store.
How much did you make doing that?
$4.25 an hour.
And what did you learn from that?
Everything. First and foremost, to be responsible, to show up, and to recognize that even if you're 13, you're professional as soon as you step in the door, and whatever's going on in your personal life, it doesn't affect you and that professional interaction. And then when you leave, you can pick it all up and take it with you, but when you show up to work, you show up to work.
Is there any software or platforms you guys use that helps?
For us, in the service-based industry, we use MindBody, and then we integrate with Clover. So I also think something I never knew about is finding a good merchant processor and really digging into rates. I think we didn't know to do that initially, but once we figured out that it matters, I mean, it's a difference of like thousands of dollars a year just based on that index that changes.
So for the money that comes in, what do you guys do with it?
We put it back into the business. We spend a significant amount of money on marketing because we know that if we can bring clients in the door, we know we have a really high retention rate, but we want to make sure we get in front of the right clients because we need to make sure that we're building out our stylists. And while it's on them to make sure people stay, it's on us to make sure that the business is coming through the door.
So in terms of marketing, what has worked the best?
We actually opened this shop in September of 2020. So it was right smack in the middle of COVID and people weren't out and about. So we recognized that we had to figure out a way to get in front of clients. So digital marketing has been huge. Our marketing company is wonderful and they really have figured out how to get in front of our target demographic.
If there was one piece of advice you'd tell your younger self, what would it be?
Soak it all up. Just to learn to recognize that there's so much value in advice that comes from everywhere. Even if you can't see immediately how it's valuable, if you know somebody who's done something where they're successful or they've grown or they've learned, to ask questions and be a really good listener instead of trying to say, oh, well, I did. Really just take the lesson and kind of like put it in your index file.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate your business.
So what's your name and what type of business do you have?
My name is Long. This is Japanese restaurant.
And how did you get started in the restaurant business?
I have a restaurant before, like 10 years ago. We closed 2009. That time was so bad time, so we closed my restaurant.
Do you have any advice for business owners?
Just work hard.
Where do you buy your food from?
Most stuff from a Japanese company.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the hardest part about having a business?
Customer. We need more customers. So we have the best food, we have the best service. We need more customers.
How do you guys market to new customers?
Google, like Facebook, all the social media.
What is a character trait that you have that helps make you be successful?
Hard workers. So I can come here like 8 o'clock in the morning and go home like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, so I work like the whole month, no day off. Yeah, so after this, I need to relax, man. Some days.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, in China. Yeah.
What'd you study?
Accounting.
Okay. Do you think it was worth it?
Yes.
I'm an accounting major as well. So like when you're running a business, you need to know inventory and then how to cut in costs, expense. So having an accounting major really helps to get into like those things and then you be able to cut it down and then see your profit and stuff like that. Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
Now we have 15. 15.
And how do you run a good team?
Important sense is setting the standard, rules.
How do you hire good employees?
Like him, we need to work together a couple of weeks so we can know which one's better, which one's best.
What's the most expensive part of owning a restaurant?
Labor cost.
What was your biggest failure?
So there is a stock market crash on 2009, right? A lot bought a lot of stock. So when the market crashed,
so not because of the restaurant.
Yeah,
the restaurant is good, very good business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from that?
No gamble. Don't think you're lucky.
Do you have any final advice for people that want to start a business?
需要做好市场调查，然后得需要工作非常的努力，因为一开始你可能要自己去做啊，因为不好请到一个合适的人。
What would you tell your younger self?
好好上学，好好读书。因为只有知识，你才会有力量。这样。
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what's your name and what type of business do you have?
My name is Jeff, and I have a retention marketing agency and then also a supply chain and logistics company.
So how did you get started with these particular types of businesses?
I got started in e-commerce first when I was like 19, selling items on eBay that I was finding like directly on Amazon or from like the actual company itself, and just charging like $15 more and hoping people wouldn't like price match. I had someone mentor me then, was just like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do e-commerce, and he was crushing it on Amazon at the time. He was doing probably like 10 million a month plus, and was just like, hey, like let me show you how e-commerce works.
How did you get funding for your businesses?
I had email marketing skills, and I already worked with e-commerce merchants at the supply chain side. I was close with a lot of these clients, and I told them, hey, I know what I'm doing with retention marketing. If I start an agency, I want you to be like the first client. And so I was able to line up, I think, 3 clients before starting it. And so we were profitable probably like first week.
So you're super young. What side hustles are good for people to start?
I think first you need to start off with figuring out what type of poor you are. Are you cash poor or are you time poor? Because you're going to have different opportunities for you. So I'm cash poor. That means I need to find something that's low startup cost and requires a lot of my work, but I'm time rich, so I could put time into it and do stuff like that. That's like power washing, different things like that.
What is a high value skill that everyone should learn?
Sales, because like everything is sales. From like me convincing you to go to the gym at 7 a.m. instead of 5 a.m., that's sales. And I think a lot of people like should definitely know how to sell. Knowing how to sell, whether it be sell yourself, sell a service that you do, etc. Sales is, I think, by far the most important skill.
What's a great way to learn sales?
Great way to learn sales is 1, to get more comfortable person to person, and 2 is just to read. There's a lot of good information on learning how to sell. I'd say like the first book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was one that like I read a long time ago, and that was like a really good book then.
So for an agency like yours, what are the startup costs and what are the recurring expenses?
Startup costs are very, very, very cheap, especially if you want to start off as a freelancer, right? As a one-person agency. I know that there's like, you can use Notion for free for reporting. I think you can get like a free Slack plan. You could do ClickUp or Asana trial for a month to build out like your task management and operations. You can use Card for a website. You could even use a Notion page as a website that you send to people. So startup costs could be very, very, very cheap if you wanted to. And then of course, as you get going, your reoccurring costs are going to be a lot of software, you know, Slack, ClickUp, Notion, Loom, Calendly, DocuSign. You're going to have a bunch of like random software costs. And then of course you have employee costs.
What's the craziest thing you've ever done to make money?
Spray paint curbs. So I'd go up, knock on their door, say, hey, I'm repainting curb addresses. And I address like the first problem, which is the cost, right? Because everyone's saying, how much does it cost? Oh, I don't want to do that. So I'd say I'm doing it for free and you could pay me whatever you want, but I think it's important for first responders to see. I started with my neighbor, of course. I was the first one.
How much do people pay you on average?
She gave me $20, and then the next neighbor, of course, asked how much the first neighbor paid. He didn't want to be seen as a cheap neighbor, so 20 was sort of the baseline. The first day, I think I made like close to $400.
That's amazing.
13-year-old. I had set out to work the entire summer to save up for a bike that I wanted, and I bought the bike the same day. But yes, that was my first business that was super weird. I just had a red radio flyer wagon, stencils, a little bristle brush, and spray paint. And my mom angel invested and paid for my supplies for the first day, which was probably like $30.
That's amazing. Did you go to college?
I didn't graduate, but by no means do I think college is a scam. Now I'm at the point where a lot of the people that I work alongside with or meet in work that are, I mean, just miles above me have graduated, not only graduated, but done extremely well in college and went to great colleges. And it's like for the first time when you get in the room with like a Stanford MBA, that's when you're like, wow, college is not a scam. This dude is running circles around me right now.
So there you have it, asking small business owners for entrepreneurial advice. We had some really great answers today, and everyone we talked to was awesome. And I hope that you, as an aspiring or current small business owner, got a ton of value. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to get a grant for your own small business, be sure to check out the link down below in the description, because submissions for the Manifest Grant Program ends October 31st, 2022. And of course, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. I do a ton of videos about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.